What is up, sports geeks? It's your host Josh here, back with another episode. Today I'm joined by yet again Nick. Nick, we are back in person. It's good to see you in person again. Done being virtual for at least a little bit here, but how you doing today?
It's great to be back. It's better being actually not doing it on a camera or on a computer. So I'm doing pretty good, except for Gonzaga just getting blown out and every future and anything I had on Gonzaga just getting flushed down the toilet. But
I'll tell you what, dude, they looked good until the UConn game. They looked really good until the UConn game. UCLA game was a doozy of a game. That entire day, really, we had great games. The Michigan State, Kansas State, I don't want to talk about it, but it was a great game.
It was a really good game.
From a neutral fan's perspective, it was a great game. And then obviously the Gonzaga UCLA game was just spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, insane. UCLA came out, punched them right in the mouth, controlled the whole game, controlled the pace of the game. And what I kind of thought was interesting was the fact that Mick Cronin from the jump was like, we're going to run with you a little bit, which is not what I would have thought. I would have thought Mick would have said defense, defense, defense. We're going to slow this down and you're going to play our pace. He said, no, I think we're good enough to play your pace. And they were good enough to where they could score on a fast-paced game and played good enough defense to where they made it to where it was hard for Gonzaga to hit down shots. And they went into half up 13.
Unless your name was Drew Timme.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally the Timme show. As I texted you, like Drew Timme, what he put up, 37?
Yeah, 37 and like 12 or something. I mean, It was spectacular. I think also like there were several guys that hit huge shots in that game for Gonzaga, like Malachi Smith.
Without him, I don't think they win that game.
No, and it's like that's somebody that on that team is considered a role player, right? Your stars
sixth man of the year.
Your stars are Watson, Timme, Strother. And that's huge if you're looking at next season. I'm assuming Strother's gone to the draft.
I would think.
I think he has enough size.
He has enough to be a first round pick, I would say.
I don't know about Watson because Watson didn't have a phenomenal year, and with Timme leaving, you kind of have a much bigger role.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to go on there. I don't think I know he hasn't declared yet. But we do have some stuff to talk about here with declarations before we get into this. Is going to be a primarily Final Four episode, but talk about some declarations here. So we have Sensabaugh from Ohio State declares for the draft but doesn't hire an agent, so he can come back.
Yeah, he can come back.
Caleb Love puts his name into the transfer portal.
That was insane to me. That's a big time player in the portal. I know he struggled last year at times for Carolina, but he still had games where he put up 20 and 8.
This is giving me like Jordan Addison in the portal from last year type of vibes. Like Caleb Williams was huge in the portal, but everyone knew where he was going.
Yeah, it's like he went to the portal because he was following his coach.
Yeah, but like Jordan Addison last year was like whoever lands this dude is gonna be a huge addition. Same thing with Caleb Love here. It is going to be a huge addition wherever he goes.
Same with Kreisa Kerr or Kerr Kreisa.
Yeah, Kerr Kreisa. I'm not.
People think he's gonna go to X, but I don't know. I don't know.
I'm a big hater on Kerr Kreisa.
So am I.
I don't really like him at all.
Completely hate him, and it would make me so happy if he decided to come to X, because then I could hate him even more.
Yeah, and I do also think that so San Diego State just knocks out Creighton. That entire Creighton team could be broken up. Tyler Alexander could go into the portal.
Yeah, I was saying, are they an older team?
They're an older team, but I think a lot of them can come back. Yeah.
Okay,
that's the thing. I think this is the final senior class that has a COVID year.
That's what I was thinking.
Because the seniors right now were freshmen during when they didn't have the season. Anybody that's a senior now has their COVID year. So I think Kalkbrenner can come back, which I think Kalkbrenner should.
I think he will.
I don't think he has much NBA value.
No, he's just one of those big men.
He's a great college big guy, but just not really. Like same thing with like Edey, what Edey will be. Edey will not be good in the pros.
Did you see Dan Dockich?
Yes, I sent that to my dad last night.
That was hilarious. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Dan Dockich on Twitter said that he heard some rumblings that Zach Edey was in the transfer portal.
He said, quote, like, my people told me that, are telling me that Zach Edey's going to enter the transfer portal.
Zach Edey actually came back with a tweet and just dunked on him. It was hilarious.
Zach Edey retweeted and said, my people are telling me different.
It's like my people are telling me this is false or something.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm not a big Dan Dockich guy.
I can't stand Dan Dockich.
His son played for Ohio State. And he always makes sure to tell you that. Not played, but was on the roster.
Whenever he was on the radio, like I want to say, used to be on like ESPN 1530 or whenever he was on there, he'd always talk about Ohio State. Like, oh, my son, he knows all these players. It's like, your son's a walk-on, dude.
Yeah, like nothing against your son. Cool that he's a walk-on, but like you don't have to bring that up every single time you broadcast.
Oh
a game.
yeah, it's every waking moment. I'm
You
so
know,
happy he doesn't call basketball games
oh, I
anymore.
know. Him and Bill Walton, dude, were the two guys I could not stand.
Oh.
Like my dad and I would always sit here and like when we're watching TV, whatever, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
we're watching games, and it's like we would mute the TV if it was Dan Dakich or Bill Walton.
I had to do that this past Pac-12 tournament.
With Bill Walton,
I used to like Bill Walton, like to stand him. I thought he was kind of funny.
He's funny.
But as I've grown up, I'm just like, oh my God, like I just can't take you
I
anymore.
can listen to the first 5 minutes because it's
Yeah.
funny to laugh at him,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I rode my bike across the country.
Yeah, and then he's always like Pac-12, the Conference of Champions. They all deserve to be in the tournament. It was like Washington State was like 18-15, and he was like, yeah, I think they're going to be an 8 seed if it's up to me. And like, what?
Yeah, no, he's funny
Oh.
funny to listen to for a little bit, and then it's just like you don't know anything.
Oh, it's
dude.
just like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Like you get to a certain point, it's like, what are you actually saying?
Yeah, but Bill Walton, luckily will not be calling either of the Final Four games. But I do think we're gonna have 2 good games. The unfortunate part about this, which unfortunate, teach their own,
Yeah.
is we don't have true powerhouses in this. I think
No,
UConn
yeah.
is one of the best teams in the country, and they've been playing
Most
like it.
championships since like 1998,
Do they?
I think. 1998. I want to say they have the most championships with 4. This will be their 5th,
Jeez.
which is crazy to think about because whenever they win it, they're not winning it as a 1 or a 2 seed.
No, they won it as an 8 with.
Yeah, it was it a 7-8 or an 8-9 game against Kentucky when they won it with
Yeah, they won with Shabazz Napier, Ryan Boatwright.
and Kelvin Otto was the coach, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember he that was like his one thing he actually did at UConn.
That was
He won a
That was
championship.
just Kemba Walker, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because the cardiac Kemba was like 2008,
Yeah.
and that was like 2011 when they won that. I think.
Calhoun retired, but
Yeah.
it was kind of he was doing some shady stuff.
Yeah.
so.
But so UConn, this entire tournament hasn't had a close game. They have blown
No, they've
every single team out of the water. Now, granted,
they've only been losing in one half of this whole tournament. That was the first half against Iona. That was the only
Yeah.
time they've been
yeah,
losing.
in which they won that game by 20.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Like,
they came out
they
second half,
came
were just
out-
lights out. And so I know we're going to get to eventually an all tournament team. Jordan Hawkins. And I know we were just discussing this a little bit earlier. Marquise Noel and Jordan Hawkins are the only 2 guys that you have to be on this team.
I
There's a
100%
lot of
agree
there's
with
not
that.
names that could be in here,
Yeah.
and you can make a case for others. I think those are the only 2 guys that have to be in here. Jordan Hawkins has been wonderful this entire tournament, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you look back to the regular season, he had his moments where he was just you'd look like, all right, whatever. He's a guy who's streaky, can hit down a few
Mhm.
shots. Really, against both games against X, I think he put up maybe a combined 12 points. Like he was awful.
Mhm.
He was terrible when they played at X. I want to say it was New Year's Day. I think it was New Year's Day. I don't think he scored, and if
Really?
he did, it maybe was a bucket or 2.
I'll pull it up.
It may have been a bucket or 2, but from what I remember, X was like his kryptonite this year. And you know what? It's crazy, but I saw a tweet earlier today that someone was interviewing Danny Hurley, and he said, you know what? If Zach Freemantle never got hurt, and I hate to say this to some people, some people watch this, Xavier fans for sure, they'd be in the Final Four if Freemantle didn't get hurt. And I honestly agree with that. As crazy as it seems, I agree with it. Obviously they ran into a team like Texas who just the guards just overwhelmed them. The guard play was nuts. Even with Dessou not playing, the guard play was just crazy. And X had no way to combat that because they couldn't go down low because they only had Freemantle. Or not Freemantle, they only had Nungy. And
Yeah.
Nungy just couldn't do it himself.
No.
So I feel like if they had Freemantle, I think that game could have went a whole different way.
Yeah. Now I will say that Texas ran through.
But
them.
yeah, I mean Texas, it was easy.
So Fremantle would be a huge addition. I think he makes it a really close game, but
I think it would have been within 8 to 10 points instead of it being 17 to 20 points.
no. Texas looked great and Miami looked spectacular.
That
the second
was
half,
actually embarrassing.
the second half of
I
that
couldn't
game,
believe that.
they hit 0 3-pointers and made up like a 9-point.
Yeah, like no,
a
there
9-point.
was a point in the second half, I want to say around like 8 minutes left in the game that Texas was up 12. Like I was at work, so I was like
Mhm.
checking in and out, and I could have sworn I remember seeing it was like Texas was up like I want to say it was 57 to 45 or something.
No, that
like
sounds
that.
right. I was watching. They were up at least 12.
It was
at
something
one
like that.
point.
They were up 12, and then next thing you know, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no,
I just
they
really couldn't.
you have to tip your hat to Miami.
Larinaga is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, for battling back. And when you have guard play like Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong, and you have Jordan Miller, who
I would
puts up
say
a
that
perfect game.
I would say that was probably like, if you say top three guards on each side, that had to have been the best guard play game in the whole tournament.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
like with all the guards in the game.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously you have Marquise Noel and others.
Yeah, but you don't get
you don't get six guards that can all score.
Well, I think Texas might be number one if you look at Timmy Allen, Serge Abari Rice, and Marcus Carr.
Yeah.
And
Tyrese Hunter.
Tyrese Hunter. So and you outplayed them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. The thing that scares me about this UConn team, though, if you look at this UConn Miami matchup,
I wish this was UConn. I wish this was the championship matchup.
I do too. UConn has really not faced much adversity this tournament.
No, when you look at it, they didn't really play any teams with dominant guards.
No. Now the Gonzaga has good guards, but they're not dominant. Their strength is their big guys, right?
Their strength is from 3 to 5.
Yeah. And so this is the thing that scares me is Texas was kind of the same way, right?
Yeah.
You hadn't faced adversity. When you lead the entire game, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then Miami takes the lead. You can't overcome it because you haven't faced it yet. So when you have a team like UConn who's in the exact same situation, I don't really call like being down by a couple points to Iona at halftime.
Yeah, like I just think they were down like 6 or something.
Yeah, and that's a good post or halftime speech, and you're fine.
Yeah,
right. And they came out and dominated the second half with 15 minutes left in that game. They knew they were gonna win.
Yeah, like you could tell they came out hot in the second half. You could tell it's like, all right, UConn woke up. They're going to win this game.
Right. If Miami comes out to like a 20-8 lead in this game, I don't know how UConn responds.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because when you look at it, they kind of are different in the way they play. Mm-hmm. At least when it comes to UConn putting in their bench. Because UConn, when they put in their second teamers, becomes so much slower. Mm-hmm. Like the way they play is so much slower. They aren't moving the ball up and down the floor as much. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it differentiates with Miami because they're constantly, they can go. So I think that could be a huge problem. And I don't think Klingon's going to get as much playing time. He's a big old 7-footer.
Yeah.
I mean, North Shadow Amir, he's maybe 6'9", I think.
That's generous.
Maybe
but a very athletic.
Very athletic. So it's like you can't really have Klingon out on the floor for a good 4 or 5 minute stretch because he's just going to get torched up and down the floor.
Yeah, I will say that I think that in that Miami-Texas game, the call that was where I forget who it was. Somebody boxed out Norchad Omier,
mm-hmm.
and he went over the back.
Yeah. I know what
you're talking about. And they
called
the foul on the box out because they took his feet on. I thought that was 100% over the back.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an easy call. They did not call it. They called it on Texas.
Yeah, which was
a tie game. And it was a loose ball foul either way. So it would have, in both teams were in double bonus. So instead of Texas getting 2 free throws, it was Miami getting 2 free throws. Or instead of Texas getting 2 free throws and Omier being out of the game because he had 4 fouls.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Miami getting 2 points is what it converted to. So that was I think that's
4-point swing.
I think that's a game-winning call.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that the reason they won the game is because of that call and because of the refs. And Miami put up a wonderful second half. Yeah. But that call is
that's a huge call right
Speaking of game-changing calls, how do you feel about the Creighton San Diego State game? And specifically that final
call? I understand the call. Like I get it. Does that call happen all throughout the year and it doesn't usually get called? Yes.
If that happens with 5 minutes to go and you don't call it, it is like the entire arena is like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Creighton fans are like, holy smokes, how did they not call that? Yeah. San Diego State's coach is probably getting a technical because of it.
100%.
Like it's a terrible no call in a situation that's not the final play of the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to. You shouldn't have to change. You shouldn't change the ref a game, but I do hate to see, especially a game of that caliber, decided
for that to end
by, a call.
I think it's one of those calls where it is like it depends what point in the game you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just like there's no reason for that caliber of a game to end that way.
It's the same thing as like calling like a holding on like the final drive in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when it's like you could call holding on every play. You could probably call a foul on nearly every shot.
Or like when they refs let the Chiefs run their fourth down play or their third down play twice, even though they ran it the first time, and the ref called the play dead.
Oh yeah,
It's almost
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, that one
Like,
luckily didn't have much of an impact.
Yeah, it's just
But-
like, you know what I mean? It's
but-
like,
I don't know. It's tough because you should ref the game the same way, no matter what the score is, no matter what the time is left. If it's a foul, it's a foul. If it's on LeBron James or if it's on, your 13th guy on the rotation for Iona,
yeah,
it should be, if it's a foul, it's a foul. But I hate to see a game end that way. I hate to see a team season end that way. But honestly, he did get him with the right hand.
Yeah.
He did. He might. I may or not.
I personally wouldn't have called it, but I personally wouldn't have. Not that I had any lean in that game any sort of way. It didn't really bother me who won, but I don't think I would have called it. I didn't see enough like actual contact, like a really hard foul to call it.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, San Diego State's defense has been absolutely exquisite all tournament.
I mean,
They Charleston's one of the first round. A lot of people picked Charleston over San Diego State, and Charleston's one of the best offenses in the nation.
People didn't give them a chance,
and San Diego State made them look like that was one of the. I'd watch a little bit of Charleston throughout the year.
Yeah,
but the little bit I saw of them was like playing a bad team, you thrash them, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That was the first really game I had seen Charleston play where, I'm watching the entire game, really inspecting it. And they looked terrible offensively. And I don't think it was as much of Charleston. I think it was San Diego State's
I
defense.
agree. I think it was.
You held Creighton to 56.
Yeah,
56 points.
That's impressive.
Like that's crazy. So I think San Diego State is a team that if you pair them up against like UConn, it could be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
you have UConn who's going to score 90. You have San Diego State who's going to hold you to 60.
They're going to try to hold you to 60 and beat you.
Where's that going to,
exactly?
end up
Which
at?
side of that's going to break?
Yeah. But FAU, dude, in my opinion, easily could have lost in that first round if Davis doesn't get injured.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't get injured and DeAndre Williams doesn't foul out, I mean, like they literally came down to the last few seconds. Literally hit the game winner with what, 2-3 seconds left. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about because you know what? We did talk about. I was like, whoever came out of that game was gonna have a really good chance to beat Purdue and could probably go deep and possibly make a Final Four run. And it actually happened. It really did.
Purdue,
which
but
is
they
crazy.
did make a Final Four run.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy to think about. They can tip their hats to Purdue because if Purdue doesn't lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, I don't think Purdue loses to FD or to FAU. I really don't think they will.
I don't think they do. I don't think that they would lose to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Looking at I think they would lose to Duke, but Duke lost to Tennessee. So I think Purdue, I think would get obliterated by Kansas State.
Oh yeah.
Marquise Noel would have it. Like Marquise Noel would make Braden Smith. I know we're talking about a matchup that was not even remotely close. But Marquise Noel would make Braden Smith like actually hate his life. Braden Smith would have double-digit turnovers.
It would have been the longest day of his life.
Now here's my thing about that scares me for FAU. We just talked about San Diego State's defense and how elite it is, right? FAU is very, very turnover prone. I think they turned it over 22 times against K-State. And still won the game. So for FAU, it's scary, right? But at the same time, you just put up maybe as bad of a performance as you can put up turning the ball over.
Yeah.
And you still won the game.
I think the big thing with FAU is, and this really never caught my eye with it, but then after the game, after K-State, I saw people on Twitter rumbling about it, and Vlad Golden. His last 5 games, I want to say, they said his point total was no higher than 8 points.
Really?
He goes up against the Kansas State team, doesn't have a real true big man, doesn't have one. You had Keontae Johnson guarding him, and then their other big guy who's not really, maybe 6'10", but
yeah.
He's not a true big man, so he's not really trying to play the post. He dominated against a team who didn't have a true big guy.
Yep.
But then you're looking forward to this game against San Diego State on Saturday. They have 2 legitimate big guys. One of their big men, who was going to go play, whether it was in the NBA on the bench or overseas as a starter, he was going to leave last year, but he wanted to come back because he wanted to be a part of this team because he was a part of the team when they got robbed of the 1 seed. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if can he get in double digits. If he can, I think they win. And I think that's the only reason they beat Kansas State is because he got to double digits. He had like 13-9, I think.
Yeah, it definitely. He was one of the sole reasons that they won that game. And if you pair a high turnover game with a defense that can also match up with him, then that's going to be really, really troubling for FAU's offense. But John L. Davis also shot very poorly. He was 0 for 4 from 3. I would not expect that again out of him.
No.
He's a big time player. He performs really well on big stages. I would expect him to ball out here. This is going to be a really close game. I think we're going to see a doozy. I would expect a low scoring game.
I think this one's going to be played in the high 50s.
I was going to say low 60s to high 50s is probably going to be the final score.
It's also got to take into account, they're playing in an NFL stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That backdrop is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard to shoot in that backdrop. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you put that little court on the center of that football field, you're getting what? Maybe it's only 94 feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something to take into account. Can these teams shoot? Can they still shoot the 3 ball at a high clip?
Yeah.
And I think that could end up being a huge, huge thing for UConn, because if they can't, this might be the end of the road for you.
Yeah.
This might be
UConn is relying on it, but they're also really good at it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I had to go with a prediction for FAU San Diego State. I think I would probably lean San Diego State because of their ability to match up with Big Vlad.
Yeah.
But obviously, Cinderella story. You can light it up from 3, which FAU can. Who knows what's going to happen, right? If you come out and John L. Davis scores 8 points in the first 4 minutes, then San Diego State could be in for a long road. If I think this is a race to 65.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be.
If you're FAU, you have to hit 65 first. If you do, there's probably going to be a minute left in the game.
Yeah,
like there's whoever hits 65, if you can hit 70, you're winning the game easy.
Yeah, no, so that's 100%.
But I'm going to lean San Diego State. I hope FAU wins because that'd be just sick to see a 9 seed in there.
I mean, I hate to. I mean, I've done it all tournament. I keep going against FAU, and they keep winning. I think I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go San Diego State. I just think San Diego State's a better team. I really do. I mean, all these teams that FAU's played has been better than them. But I just think it comes down to San Diego State's defense and the fact that San Diego State has 2 true big guys. I think Nathan Mensah can really keep Vlad Golden in check. Probably hold him to his usual average of like anywhere from 6 to 8 points. Mm-hmm. And, if FAU beats them with guard play, they beat them with guard play, but I just don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I would almost agree with that. But so let's head over to the other game, which is just could be a wonderful game. So we have Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong, Jordan Miller, some wonderful guard play there, and facing off against Jordan Hawkins here. And I'm drawing a blank.
Tristan Newton, their point guard, and then you have Andre Jackson, who's their forward. Who I tell you what,
he was triple-double watch.
Cannot shoot from beyond the arc to save his life, but he is so athletic that he can create a shot from almost anywhere else.
Well, Sonogo's pretty good at cleaning the glass as well. So that's going to be something that you really have to pay attention to because Sonogo rebounds obviously
Sonogo versus Omier. I mean,
and Sonogo has a clear height advantage there and is not short by any means on athleticism.
No one bit. He was the preseason Big East Player of the Year.
Yeah. So
People forget about that.
Yeah, he's gonna. Well, then they got robbed by Kunkel, who was a joke, to say the least.
Kolek.
Yeah, that's what I meant. They're so similar. The names are so similar. Kolek is that's who Tyler Kolek, and he was a joke.
Yeah, that was disappointing for him, to say the least. That was actually so disappointing.
I was happy as Michigan.
Oh yeah, but
he looked really bad. Even the game against Vermont that I was at, he looked pretty bad. Yeah. But either way, so we have UConn here, who's been lights out all tournament, playing against Miami team, who's really has not had a convincing win yet, but they've been getting wins.
Yeah,
the win against IU.
I would say the convincing win they had was IU.
The Houston one they pulled away.
There were stretches against. They ended up winning against Houston by like 12 plus, but there were stretches in that game where you could see that Houston was the better team.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just came down to Miami just wanted it more.
Yeah.
Miami was more athletic. They wanted it more,
Which is the same thing that happened in the Texas game.
which does not surprise me because a lot of people loved Houston to the Final Four, but Houston was, I'm not going to say they're overrated because I don't think that's the right word to use, but I think they were given too much respect.
I think they were too inconsistent to be given the respect they got.
Yeah.
I think Bama was more consistent than them, and obviously they even choked against San Diego State.
Brandon Miller was a disappointment.
I saw it
in this tournament. He put up 28 points in 4 games. 3 games.
Averaging 9 a game.
Yeah, that's not good.
No,
he was dealing with an injury, which I didn't know. It came out he was dealing with a groin. But still, you had no reason to blow that game to San Diego State like you did. And I think, honestly, I hate to say it. I mean, I know we're not talking about it because we're doing more Final Four, but it all kind of wraps up into it because, I think Nate Oates sold the end of that game.
Yes.
He coached that game so poorly.
I think Nate Oates is kind of a punk too, but
I mean, yeah, he coached that game so poorly. It was just I couldn't believe it. They were up 9 or so.
9 with how much time?
I want to say 6 minutes.
I was gonna say 5. I was gonna say 5 or 6. Yeah. So
and that's poor. Same thing with Tennessee. You were up by so much, you let FAU go on an 18-2 run, and then next thing you know, you find yourself and you're down 10, 12.
Yep. Hey, it doesn't matter anymore. Now we have a San Diego State FAU Final Four matchup.
Crazy thing about the fact that I saw 6 people had this Final Four correct.
Dude, did you see the guy that texted his group chat?
Crazy.
You see that? A dude texted his group chat and said, Final Four FAU, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn Final Four. Anybody want to ride it with me? And he said 10 wins you 9K. The dude ended up putting 20 on it and won 18K off of it. And he said nobody else from the group chat said yes.
All those people got.
So imagine you're in a group chat. Imagine your group chat.
My.
And if somebody sends you that pre-tournament, you're like, yeah, right. That's a $10 donation. Yeah. Well, but either way, so let's talk about this UConn Miami game here. So Jordan Hawkins has to play against Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack, which are elite offensively, but by no means poor defensively. And I mean, they're not wonderful.
They're not poor on defensive end, but I would say that's where Miami lacks.
Yes,
Miami's looking to outscore you.
Yeah,
that's kind of how they play. They're not a humongous defensive team. They don't play both sides of the ball very well. But no, I agree. It's gonna really come down to, can Jordan Hawkins just dominate?
I think it's going to come down to, can he dominate and who wins the Sonogo Norchad Omier battle? Because it's going to be a battle. It's going to be battle. And do either of them get in foul trouble?
Yeah, can they stay out of foul trouble?
Omier is consistently kind of flirting with foul trouble. We really saw it in he should have fouled out the Texas game, and he's kind of been flirting with it all tournament. So if he stays out of foul trouble, Miami's going to be in a great position.
Yeah, whole different game. People were saying the same thing with Gonzaga UConn. Is Timmy going to be so dominant that he gets Sonogo in foul trouble? Complete opposite way.
Yep.
Completely opposite way.
Which
Sonogo was so dominant that he put Timmy in foul trouble.
And Timmy is one of the most disciplined defenders we've seen.
Yeah.
He is one of the most fundamental. Rarely gets in foul trouble. So when you pair Sonogo, who's excellent at getting guys in foul trouble, with Omier, who is consistently in foul trouble, that is not a good recipe for success.
No, not at all.
For Miami.
Not at all.
And if you're playing with, I don't even know who their backup big guy is.
Yeah, I have no clue, actually. No clue.
Whoever it is, if he is having to match up, if you have to have him match up against Sonogo, good luck.
Yeah.
Because he would tear them apart.
If UConn comes out and they can slap an early foul on Omier, I think if you're Leonard Nagy, you got to take him out. You got to. I think it's just a smart move. You don't want to get him a second in the first. You surely don't want to get him his third in the first. You don't want to be Jerome Tang here and leave Keontae Johnson on the floor, get him 3 in the first half, let him come out, and then in the first 2 minutes of the second, get another one. I think honestly, you know what? If you get the first early within, I'd say the first 5-6 minutes, you pull him out, maybe bring him in the last 4 minutes. Just let your backup try to, piss off Sonogo and irritate him. I mean,
it's your only hope, because the problem is that as soon as you put Omier back in,
You know they're going after
if
him.
he is in foul trouble at all. You have Sanogo, who is capable of scoring, very capable of scoring, and extremely capable of drawing fouls. So when you have if you have somebody who you don't really have a post presence, it's hard to try to target a post defender if you don't have somebody that can legitimately score. Like you're not going to have somebody that can't score be your offense because you're trying to get them in foul trouble because you're losing good looks.
Yeah.
Like you're taking away from your offense to try and get this team in foul trouble. But dude, Sanogo is an excellent piece of that offense and I would expect Omier to foul out of this game.
Yeah, no, it definitely wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if we're looking at an instance where he's got 2 at half or 3 at halftime. I would say 2 because I would assume Larranaga is a smart enough coach to take him out once he gets to second. But I mean, it's the NCAA tournament. You never know. Yeah. You really don't know where people's headspaces are at.
It also could be a desperation heave too. If he picks up 2 in the first 10 minutes and with 4 minutes to go, in that 6-minute span, UConn's on a 13-2 run and they've stretched it to 12. You might be like, dude, we have to.
We got to bring him back
because we can't let him get this to 20.
Yeah.
And I mean, it very well could be. I would expect UConn to win this game. I think UConn is just better on the interior. And I think that Sanogo's rim protection, I think that is rebounding. I think it's just a clear advantage. I don't think there's a really advantage on the guard play. I think Hawkins kind of crosses out the Pac-Wong duo.
Yeah.
Not completely. I think Pac-Wong duo is still better, but I just think that what Sanogo offers and what the trouble Omier is going to be in is going to be much more valuable to UConn than what the advantage in the guard play would be to Miami.
I definitely agree with that because, I mean, obviously hate bringing it back to Gonzaga and how they beat him by 30, but that was really it. I mean, yes, Jordan Hawkins and Andre Jackson and Tristan Newton shot so well from 3, just and from the exterior, but it all trickled back down to what was Sanogo and Klingon doing on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it was like, what were they doing on the inside and how bad were they dominating Drew Timme and Anton Watson? And they did the whole game.
Yeah, they really did. It was, dude, the fact that you're taking somebody that's disciplined and getting them in foul trouble, I still can't get over this. Somebody that's disciplined getting in foul trouble makes somebody that's undisciplined, as far when it comes to fouling, like Omier, it is going to be, I hope that all week he is just getting scolded.
Yeah.
Do not foul. Do not foul.
It's got to be that.
But
that's going to be the biggest thing.
Is he's undersized.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody that's undersized, you have to attempt to block shots because otherwise Sanogo will just shoot over you.
Yeah, and then you have to go against a 7-footer in Klingon.
Yeah, like you going like this does nothing to Sanogo. Yeah, Sanogo will just shoot a post hooker over you and you're fine. So if you're not attempting to block the shot, Sanogo's going to eat you up alive, and you have to attempt to block shots, which means you're going to be in foul trouble. I see this game. This is the exact game script that I see, which means it'll probably be the exact opposite. But so I see Omier picking up an early foul. Miami's probably going to be up early to within 5.
Yeah, I'm saying Miami comes out hot.
But I think UConn keeps it within 5 the entire time.
Yeah.
Omier goes out early with 2 fouls with probably 8 minutes left to go in the half. I think that UConn ends the half on a good run, up 5 or 6.
That's kind of best case scenario for Miami if he does get his second in the first half. Yes. I think.
And then I think that he picks up 3 early. I think that he's probably out until the 12-minute mark. And at that point, it's probably 8-point game, 10-point game.
Yeah.
And then I think he picks up 4 before around 6 minutes. I think that he picks up 5 with 2 minutes. And I think UConn wins this game by 8-10.
Yeah.
That's how I like to see it going. I think Jordan Hawkins is just too good. And especially when you put him in the pick and roll with Sanogo, whoever's defending
when he can come off that screen and he can instantly put a shot up, it's dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Especially when you're asking somebody that's not Omier.
Yeah, to come out and try to hedge it.
To try and defend that. It's not possible is what it is. You're asking somebody that's, because Omier plays a ton of minutes normally.
Yeah, no, I want to say he averages upwards of 35 to 37 minutes.
Their center is their backup center is only playing when Omier's in foul trouble.
I don't even know who it is.
No, we should probably find a name for that because
Apologize to this guy, but yeah, I don't know who he is. But no, I honestly think whoever wins this game, I think they're winning it all. I really do.
No, I do too.
I think whoever wins this game is winning it all. And that's why I wish this was the championship. I really do. It just sadly is not.
Okay, so does Anthony Walker.
Does he play significant minutes? I mean, he had to have against Texas.
Texas, he had 0.0 rebounds. Let me pull this up. He's the only other forward that played in this game.
Yeah, he averages three, 1 and third of an assist.
Yeah.
So it shows, I guess, because I mean, Amir had 4 fouls, so I guess whenever he goes out, they just play small ball.
I mean, now they rebound well. Like Wong rebounds really well. Pack rebounds well for being guards.
Yeah.
But your guards can't rebound against Sonogo.
Yeah, no, they just want small ball.
So I don't know. I see this. I see a UConn San Diego State final. I see UConn winning the game, just because of the guard play there. But
they had a 6'7" Jordan Miller running the center when, because if you think about it, they said Amir only played 28 minutes, and then the 2 forwards, the sophomore and the freshman combined, played 7. So at least 5 minutes still. He played 5 minutes of Jordan being the center.
Jeez. You can't do that against Sonogo.
And they still beat Miami. They still beat Texas by 7, which is just crazy to me.
You can't do that with Sonogo when you have the 3-point shooting that UConn has.
Not at all.
See, we saw like with Purdue, when you have that big of a height difference, you can get away with it if the team you're playing cannot shoot threes, because Purdue could not.
Yeah, Purdue couldn't.
But you do that to UConn, dude, it's going to be like Baylor to Gonzaga in the final.
Yeah,
where
seriously.
You're just tearing them through, like tearing them through with just lighting it up from 3. So
I think this is what I'm going to say. I think UConn's going to win. I do. I think they're the better team. It depends on what Jordan Hawkins can do. If he stays consistent and keeps putting up 20 plus each game, they win.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I think the way for Miami to win is if they can keep Amir out of foul trouble.
Yep. If Amir stays out of foul trouble,
if he
Miami
can stay in the game and put up probably 10, at least 10 points, maybe give you 7, 8 rebounds, I don't see why you're not in this game till the end. I think you're going into this last 2 minutes up 5 at least if he's in the game without foul trouble, and he can just play freely.
If he plays 32 or more minutes, they win this game, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, he has to play 32 or more.
If he doesn't, I just don't see how they win. And if they do, it's because they made 10 3-pointers, 10 plus 3-pointers. And you know what? It's one of those days. They make them all. You tip your cap to them because that's just how it is.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm stoked for this this Final Four, though. And I'm really stoked for the final. I'm stoked for the UConn Miami game more than I will probably be for the final.
Yeah.
But you know, like if FAU wins, that'd be really cool to see FAU win tournament. It'd be the lowest seed ever.
And also it'd be a clean sweep of March for the Conference USA. Shout out Conference USA.
Yes, that'd be insane.
Conference USA now, soon to be the new American Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a chance to clean sweep all 3 tournaments. They're already taking 2 out of 3 because both teams in the NIT final, North Texas and UAB, are in the Conference USA. It's crazy to think about. Imagine if there was a way that you could put a future bet on that. Conference USA to clean sweep all of them. You'd probably make.
Tell you what, you put a Subway sandwich on that, and you're gonna be a millionaire.
Oh my! I mean, you could put a penny on that, and I guarantee you're walking away with at least 150 grand. Like it's crazy. Like nobody would believe that.
I mean, yeah.
It's nuts. It's crazy to think about, and it's kind of crazy to think about too. What if the committee would have looked at UAB more of as an at-large bid? What they could have actually done. Not saying they would have went deep, but yeah, they're a pretty good roster.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I don't really have any more closing comments.
Who do you think's going to win it all? Do you have UConn?
I think UConn will. I think UConn. The pairing of Hawkins Sonogo is too dynamic and too dominant that I think that they have not had their slip up yet, which I will say is a little bit scary.
That's what scares me the most is they haven't had a slip up yet. So,
but it's consistent 3-point shooting.
I just don't want to see. I don't want to see them get to the final, but then that's where they have their slip up. You know what I mean?
I don't want to see a final.
I can see it to where they get to the final and they're playing San Diego State.
Exactly what North Carolina did last year.
And San Diego State ends up winning the game by 15, and the game's just not even worth watching,
It's exactly
which would be really, really disappointing.
yeah. So I don't know. I think UConn wins it all, but I do think that Miami's good enough to win it all. Obviously, it's March. Anything can happen.
I think it's whoever's on that side wins.
Yeah.
I don't see. I mean, obviously, anyone would say that. Any non-college basketball fan would say the same thing, but I just think they're just that much better.
Yeah, they are. The guard play, I think, is what sets them apart. Both teams.
You got all these guards from these teams that they're averaging so much money in NIL. It's not even funny because they're just that good.
Dude, I saw that Bronny James is projected to make $7.2 million his first year.
He hasn't even stepped on a floor yet. Hasn't even committed to a school.
Collier's trying to get him to go to USC. You see that?
Really?
Yeah, like trying really hard apparently.
I wouldn't mind that.
That would be a very.
I would not mind that. I mean, he
dangerous
played.
backcourt
He
of
played.
Boogie Ellis, Isaiah Collier, and Bronny James.
Imagine that. And then
Drew Peterson. Where's he gone?
I hope he leaves.
I
don't like him.
I hope he goes overseas.
He played okay against Michigan State. Surprisingly,
dude, I'll tell you what. So
surprisingly played okay.
He's so inconsistent. I was telling my dad that as we were at the game. I was like, dude, he's so inconsistent. I'm scared that he's gonna get going. And he hit like a fadeaway jumper and then a three.
Yeah.
Within his first three shots, and I was like,
God.
oh boy.
I was like, here we go. I was like, there's just no way he's gonna decide now is gonna be the time he wants to start playing half decent basketball.
But then he was like, I don't know what he finished the game, but he missed like 3 or 4 like just fadeaway, heavily contested jumpers that only Drew Peterson would take.
If you had to pick one game out of this whole tournament, what was your favorite? And I guess we'll go to this. What was your favorite game out of the whole tournament? What was your least favorite game out of the whole tournament to watch? If you had to pick two.
That's a good least favorite game by far, not even close, is the Iowa State Pitt. That was the most boring game.
Yeah, that game sucked.
It was not even good defense. It was just horrendous offense. By far worst game. That might contend for like worst game ever in March Madness.
Yeah, that was that one and the Nevada Arizona State. If we're gonna count the first four, that game was awful too.
Now at least that game had points.
Yeah, they scored at least, but
the Iowa State.
Iowa State should never have been seeded that low.
For best game.
There's been so many good.
There have been. I
got one locked in the back of my head.
The Michigan State Kansas State game. It was a great game. Even as a Michigan State fan, us losing the game, it was wonderful. As a neutral fan, you have high scoring.
Yeah,
you have an overtime game.
You have dishing 19 assists.
Yeah, you have a NCAA record broken. That would have to be up there. I'm gonna go. So I'd put that up there. I might be a little bit biased since I'm a Michigan State fan. But since I'm a little bit biased there, I'm going to go to a different route. I'm going to go Gonzaga UCLA.
That was a good one too.
It was a perfect battle the entire time. Two powerhouses. Literally, UCLA wins the entire game.
Up 7. Gonzaga's up 7 with what was it, 40? Or no, it was like a minute 20 left.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's a 3-point game with 45 seconds left.
UCLA wins the entire game until 5 minutes left. Gonzaga dominates the rest, and then UCLA manages to come back, take the lead.
The Amari Bailey 3.
And then they run the Chris Jenkins Villanova 3 play.
That was insane.
And it was
actually insane.
That was such a good game. I feel like I have to go with that.
I mean, drilling that 3 from the March Madness logo when you didn't even need to hit a 3.
No,
it was crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. I would say my least favorite. I'm right up there with you. I would have to say either one of the 116s, but I mean, that's how it usually is. Or I would have to agree with you. Iowa State and Pitt was just disappointing. Iowa State just didn't want to be there, it seemed like.
No. I'm serious, dude. It might be the worst game ever for March Madness.
It has to be
because it was like
it's got to be top 5.
It was not good defense. It was not good offense. Or it was not good defense. It was horrendous offense. Yeah. And it was like watching this game, whoever wins this game, I know is getting obliterated next round.
Yeah, no, there was nothing else to it. Like you saw, like the only way like one of those teams was going to beat X is if that game was high paced, really good. Like I knew Pitt wasn't going to beat X, but it really depended on how did Iowa State come out and play.
Iowa State was pathetic.
And they came out and reverted back to like the last 5 games of conference season when they just did nothing.
Yeah.
My favorite game though, this probably surprised people. My favorite game was Drake Miami.
Okay, that was a great game too.
That game was awesome. That game was awesome. I enjoyed every second of that game.
Yeah, it really was. Dude, I thought Drake was pulling away with it.
So did I.
I thought they had it.
I mean, Miami obviously they didn't play well, but they eventually turned it up and did enough to get the
Played well
win.
enough, yeah.
But I thought that game was awesome. That was so great to enjoy and watch.
There have been a ton of good games. I think that Memphis FAU game could be up there. I think the FDU Purdue game.
Do you think this is one of the?
I think this is
Do
the
you think
best
one
March
of the
Madness
best
ever.
years with the most like tight and like really enjoyable games?
Yes, I would say so.
So as someone who's not a fan of either side,
I think if as a neutral fan that's not rooting for their bracket, they're just rooting for fun basketball. You're almost always rooting for upsets, right? Because it's fun to see. You got all of them.
Yeah, I
You
think
have
this was
zero.
a great year.
You have 0, 1, 2, or 3 seeds in the Final Four.
Yeah, first time there's never been a one. Was it a 1 or a 1 in the Elite 8?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
No 1s in the Elite 8. No 1, 2, or 3s in the Final Four. You get to see a 16-over-1 for the second time ever. You get to see another 1 seed go out in the next round. You get to see 2 1 seeds go out in the Sweet 16.
Same
you get
day.
a 2 seed.
Literally back-to-back games.
You get a 1 and a 2 going out in day 1. Or not day 1. Yeah, it was day 1. Yeah, both on day 1. I couldn't remember if Purdue played on day 1 or day 2.
Or Purdue was Friday.
Yeah, and so was Zona, right?
Yeah. Or no,
Zona was Purdue was second day. Purdue was day 2. Purdue was day 2. Yeah.
So in the first 2 days.
Yeah. So first round you get to see a 1 and a 2 seed go out. There wasn't a 3 seed that lost, was there? All 3 seeds won.
No, all the 3 seeds won.
Which sucks.
Which people thought the 3 seeds were going
to did we see any? No 4 seeds lost either though. Because it was
Virginia did. Virginia was a 4.
That's right.
They were a 4.
Right. So you got to see pretty much every seed lose other than a 3 seed in the first round.
Yeah.
Except 5s, right? 5s all won. Yeah, 5 swept the board because it was St. Mary's, Miami, Duke, and SDSU.
Yeah.
So 5 swept the board. But either way, you got to see, I think this is going to be one of the best March Madness tournament ever.
That's why I love March.
Other than the Pitt Iowa State game, that was just pathetic.
That's why March is just so special.
Yeah.
That's why all you casuals out there who don't watch college basketball need to watch college basketball.
I don't think we have very many people listening to this that don't watch college basketball.
This tournament is fantastic.
This is the true definition of March Madness.
People always don't expand the tournament. I'm one of those people. I don't want to expand the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get through that first weekend, you're like, I want a whole nother weekend like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want a whole nother Thursday through Sunday where I'm getting 12
to 15 games a day.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame it's almost over.
Yeah. But we got more stuff coming. We got NFL draft. That's a couple weeks away.
Yeah. NBA draft is I want to say 2 months away.
NBA draft's about 2 months. The NBA draft lottery is about 4 months or 4 weeks away.
Transfer portal is
heating up big time.
Huge names.
Yep. And then we also have commitments that are still getting there as well. So we'll have, obviously, as soon as the college basketball season ends, we'll come out with our top 10 way too early top 10 rankings. We won't do a full top 25 just because there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll do a top 10.
Once you get to above 15, it's you can throw anybody in there.
But I don't really have any other closing comments if you don't either.
No, I'm all good.
But this has been the Sports Geeks Podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys.
Puts up the